My fiancée mocked male jealousy on social media after going camping with her ex. I didn't argue. Instead, I changed the locks, packed her things, and canceled the wedding while she called me frantically. I'm 31 and have been a plumber since I was 21. I started cleaning pipes and learning the trade under Pedro, a guy who smoked in the workshop and treated every clogged toilet like an epic battle. I worked tirelessly, saved every penny, and now run my own crew. 3 trucks, 4 full-time employees, steady contracts, and a loyal client base built through word of mouth. Not bad for someone who grew up in a trailer with a mom working night shifts and a stepdad who thought energy drinks were a food group. My team is solid. Andres can unclog a pipe blindfolded and has Home Depot managers on speed dial. Emilio, fresh out of technical school, is full of drive. Rubain, nearly 50, still outworks guys half his age. We handle everything from minor leaks to big commercial projects. At 26, I inherited my grandfather's house, a 3-bedroom ranch on 2 acres just outside the city. It's not fancy, but it's in great shape and fully paid off. I remodeled the garage myself into a workspace with a toolbox that cost more than my first car, surround sound, a punching bag in the corner, and a fridge stocked with Gatorade and beef jerky because I don't drink alcohol. The house was my sanctuary, with potential for expansion, oak trees keeping it cool in summer, and a backyard shed where I tinker with small engines for fun. The neighbors were great, a retired couple who brought me cookies and a young family who waved as they passed. It was through them that I met Laura. She was 28 when it all started, blonde, gym-toned, with that curated Pinterest aesthetic. We met at a 4th of July barbecue hosted by my neighbors. She wore white shorts and sipped one of those sparkling waters that taste like regret. She worked in digital strategy, managing social media for sushi restaurants and cafes serving avocado toast on reclaimed wood. She spoke as if she ran marketing for a space agency, throwing around terms like brand engagement, customer segments, and content vibe. It was so pretentious it was almost funny, but she was attractive, charming, and had that girl boss energy some guys fall for. I was one of them. Our first dates were good. She seemed impressed that I owned my business, asked about my work, and laughed at my weirdest stories, like the time I fished a toy dinosaur out of a toilet because a kid thought it could swim. I thought opposites attract. I fix things, she lives on screens. Yin and yang, big mistake. Her friend group was unbearable, led by Natalia, who was like a surveillance camera with a personality disorder. Natalia had about 800 Instagram followers, but acted like she was on a press tour. She filmed herself unboxing Amazon packages like she was unveiling the Ark of the Covenant, talking about manifesting success and clearing bad energy, which really meant don't question me while I ruin my life on X. All of Laura's friends had that vacant influencer stare, like they were the Avengers of brunch, posting vague quotes about toxic energy. If the Wi-Fi went out, they'd have an existential crisis on live stream. They couldn't talk without turning it into a photo shoot. Once, I made burgers for a game night, and Natalia rearranged them into a heart shape before we could eat. I wish I were joking. Worse, they treated my house like their personal set. They moved furniture for better lighting, used my bathroom mirror for content, and left chargers everywhere. One time, I came home to them filming a dance routine in my living room without asking. Then there was Laura's ex from college, the sensitive, poetic type who posted long captions about emotional resilience and approval-seeking selfies. She swore they were just friends. Sure, he hovered like a mosquito you can't swat. He messaged her every bad day. Once I found him crying on her shoulder during a movie night. She said he just needed someone to talk to, her emotional safe haven. Laura thrived on it, attention, drama, the idea of being his savior. Esteban worked at a meditation app startup, acting like he was in a prequel to Eat, Pray, Love. He once wore a poncho to brunch and spent 15 minutes rhapsodizing about oat milk. Meanwhile, I was fixing frozen pipes so people could flush their toilets. He always wore those thin wool beanies, even in the heat, and had coffee opinions longer than some marriages. He probably spent more on skincare than I did on truck maintenance. My best friend Diego saw it from the start. That girl's got more red flags than a communist parade, he said, his way of warning me she was a glossy HR disaster. Diego doesn't talk much, but when he does, you listen. I didn't. I ignored that gut feeling, not jealousy, but the instinct that something's off, like when a tool slips and you know your knuckles are about to pay. Here, where it gets real. Laura moved into my house about a year ago, taking half my closet and reorganizing my kitchen like she was filming a decorating show, but she never gave up her downtown apartment. She said it was for storage or her client work. I didn't push, thinking everyone needs space. Truth is, that apartment was her escape hatch, a plan B if things didn't go her way. I was planning a future, she was playing a role. The apartment was an overpriced studio in a trendy area, $1, $400 for 600 square feet with exposed brick walls that had more personality than she did. I helped her move in what she called essentials, 14 throw pillows and enough candles to stock a boutique. Meanwhile, I paid the mortgage, utilities, groceries, basically funding her lifestyle while she kept her secret hideout. Real equitable, right? Then the rot set in. Laura was obsessed with how our relationship looked online. Every date had to be TV-worthy. If I cooked, the plate had to be magazine cover ready. I built her a shoe rack. It needed a before and after video. I fixed her car, AC, straight to her story with "My man can do anything." She'd spend 20 minutes staging a photo of us watching TV, moving the couch, tweaking the lighting, changing outfits twice, and making me freeze in a pose for 40 shots. All for a quiet night and post that got maybe 30 likes. To her followers, I was the perfect boyfriend, a handyman from a design magazine, but in reality, I felt like a prop in her curated life. What stung was that she never once posted about my actual work, the work that kept us afloat. While I came home exhausted from 12-hour days in 90-degree crawl spaces, hauling tools and closing five-figure contracts, she scrolled her phone like my job didn't matter. Last summer, I got an emergency call from a luxury hotel. A main pipe burst, flooding the lobby, threatening $100,000 in damage. My team and I worked all night, fixed it, and got an $8,000 check on the spot. I came home drained but proud. Laura was editing photos of her granola breakfast. Her feed was all oat milk lattes, white desks, and captions like "grateful to partner with such inspiring brands." Meanwhile, I was juggling payroll, supplier orders, and contractors so she could film herself with a laptop in a parking space for 3 hours. She still had the nerve to say, "We're both entrepreneurs, babe." Sure, one in work boots, the other in filters and natural light. Her friends were worse. Natalia, perpetually late to her own motivational speech, asked me dead seriously if I'd consider something more professional long-term. This was in my own house while I carved the roast I'd cooked. I wanted to say, "You sell rocks online and talk to your phone. I run a business, employ 4 people, and pay 6-figure quarterly taxes." I didn't, should've. Another friend, Madison, who'd clearly never had a real job, suggested real estate because trades are so limiting. This after I told them I was expanding into commercial properties, like I was itching to be another suit with a leased sedan handing out business cards. Things rolled on. Laura was deep in wedding planning, treating it like a military operation. Color-coded spreadsheets, Pinterest boards, lighting tests, the works. Her parents were funding the $25,000 event, venue, flowers, catering, open bar, even though I don't drink. Her mom cried over tablecloths. I stayed out of it, signing checks as the dutiful fiancé. The proposal happened at Christmas. I'd saved for months for a 1.2-carat white gold ring, certified $8,000. Not the biggest rock, but it glowed under the Christmas lights. Her family lost it. Her mom posted slow-motion crying videos. Laura spun around, hand in the air, like she'd won a game show. That post hit 500 likes. I remember because she showed me every comment like they were trophies. She was like a rom-com actress overdosing on caffeine. The engagement party was next level. 50 people in her parents' backyard, professional photographer, monogrammed cocktails, a fake flower wall for photos. She changed outfits 3 times. I wore the same shirt all night and still got flack for not having the right vibe. Wedding prep went into overdrive. The guest list ballooned. The registry had $400 appliances we didn't know how to use. We had entire meetings about napkins. I nodded along like a good fiancé. Then, like clockwork, Esteban, her ex, started creeping back. First, likes and comments on her posts, then inside jokes and captions, then texts, then group hangouts like a raccoon who'd learned to open the trash can. Things shifted. In March, Laura came home with that fake energy she used before dropping a bomb. You know the tone, too cheery, smile not reaching her eyes, like when she admitted spending $300 on influencer candles. I was elbow-deep in the sink, fixing the garbage disposal she jammed with lemon peels and kale stems. "Babe," she cooed, dragging the word out like she was pitching a dream vacation. "Remember how I said I wanted to get back into hiking?" I nodded, half listening. "Well, Esteban's organizing a trip next weekend with his adventure group. It's an amazing trail 3 hours north, near that state park with the cliffs I showed you on TikTok." That got my attention. I stopped, wiped my hands, and looked at her calmly. "Esteban's organizing it?" I asked. She went defensive instantly. "It's not just him, it's like 8 people, mixed group, super casual. He invited me because I said I wanted to do more outdoor stuff this year." Her ex, who still lingers in her DMs, was planning a mixed trip in the middle of nowhere, and she was framing it as a wellness goal. I kept my voice even. "Who's going exactly?" She rattled off names like she was reading a Yelp review. Silvana, Camilla, Bruno, some guy named Hector, Ivan and his girlfriend, and someone called Lucas. None rang a bell. Not one had appeared in her photos, stories, or conversations in 3 years. She was close enough with these strangers to camp in the woods for 2 days but hadn't mentioned them once. It smelled worse than a backed-up drain. I pressed a little. "Do I know any of them?" She froze for a split second. "Why does that matter? They're not my friends, they're Esteban's. It's a hike, not a social event." That shift in tone, like I was the weirdo for asking basic questions, was the red flag, classic deflection. So my fiancée wants to vanish for 2 days in the forest with her ex and a bunch of randos, and I'm supposed to wave her off like she's hitting the grocery store. I looked at her straight. Laura, I'm not comfortable with this. And there went the mask. She rolled her eyes and launched into a rehearsed speech. Seriously, you're telling me who I can and can't hang out with? It's 2024. Just because Esteban and I dated doesn't mean we can't be friends. You're acting controlling. There I was, in work boots and a sweaty shirt from crawling under the sink, suddenly the villain for having boundaries. I didn't raise my voice or lose it. I said, it's not about trust, it's about respect. Day hike, fine. Camping with your ex, that's different. That's when she lost it. She yelled about me restricting her freedom, called my views on male-female friendships toxic, and said Natalia had always warned her about fragile men. She was spouting off like she was recording a podcast. I just watched her while fixing the disposal. She paced the living room, ranting on speakerphone with Natalia. You won't believe the nonsense I'm dealing with right now. She spent the next hour complaining about how controlling I was while I worked like an adult. That's when the illusion cracked. I'd wanted to believe it was a misunderstanding, but hearing her twist the story to paint me as a possessive psycho showed me it wasn't a mistake. She wanted the perks of a relationship without the responsibility. Something in me quietly started preparing for war. Sunday morning, I was in the garage doing what I do when I need to think, organizing tools, wrenches, screwdrivers, socket sets. The football game hummed low on the radio, the air thick with oil and WD-40. Then Diego texted, "You need to see Laura's Instagram story now." I wiped my hands, opened the app, and there it was, front row seats to my own execution. She posted a text block on a black and white background like she was running a self-help page. Some men still think women belong to them. They can't handle us having male friends. They call it boundaries, I call it control. Toxic masculinity is alive and I'm not staying quiet. That wasn't all. She also posted a waist-up photo with a forest filter captioned, "I'm done apologizing for wanting freedom. Women aren't property. Red flags, know your worth, heel." She shared it to her feed, her story, and some toxic echo chamber called Women Supporting Women, which was just Natalia's personal cult. The post went viral in her little circle, 60-plus comments in hours. Natalia wrote, "Run, this is potential abuse." Some Sophia commented, "Men like this are textbook narcissists, they don't change." A woman I'd never met tagged someone and said, "This is the guy you warned me about." They weren't just throwing me under the bus. They tied me to the bumper and dragged me through their digital town square while the crowd cheered. 3 years of fixing her messes, cooking when she was burnt out, cleaning up after her influencer brunches, pretending I cared about her kombucha sponsorships. And she repaid me by painting me as a monster to 800 people who only knew me from cropped photos and recycled quotes. Oddly, I didn't get mad. I didn't break anything or pace. I sat still like when you're tracing a leak and realize it's not the main line but the upstairs toilet. No more guessing. That's what I felt, clarity. This wasn't a fight. It was her exit strategy, maybe even a setup for her next healing phase boyfriend. While she kept going, I screenshotted everything, posts, comments, hashtags. I downloaded backups and printed some for good measure. Then I made 3 calls. First, Diego, remember those red flags? You called it a whole parade. He laughed. Need help moving stuff? Tell me when, he said, no questions. Second, Carlos, my locksmith friend, old school, works out of his van, no questions if you pay cash. Carlos, can you change the locks tomorrow? Front door, garage, keypad, new deadbolt. Got everything in the van. Loud or quiet? Quiet. Third, Javier, my cousin with a small moving company, discreet crew. You free tomorrow morning. One person's stuff, clothes, shoes, electronics, makeup, some pointless kitchen gadgets. Need bubble wrap, just for her ring light. He laughed. We're there at 8. By the time I hung up, the plan was rolling. I turned off my phone, sat down and made a list, not for revenge but inventory. What was hers, what was mine, what had to go when she did. Game on. Monday, Laura left for work like nothing happened, still scrolling her phone, smiling like she hadn't nuked me online. Her story was still up, same dramatic posts, same empty phrases, her audience clapping like she'd escaped a hostage situation. As soon as her car left the driveway, I sprang into action. At 8:05, Diego pulled up in his truck with 2 coffees and that grin he gets when something's about to go gloriously wrong. Game day, he said, handing me a cup. What's the plan? Total purge. Clothes, makeup, electronics, guest bathroom. If you see anything that says live, laugh, love, burn it. 5 minutes later, Javier's crew arrived, 4 guys, 2 dollies, 50 labeled boxes. The lead mover, Manuel, was a quiet guy who dismantled furniture with the precision of a divorce lawyer liquidating assets. No chatter, no comments, just work. I pointed, they packed. Diego narrated like it was a football game, calling out every item. We started with the closet chaos, a mountain of leggings, camera gear, and 17 pairs of identical boots. In the main bathroom, one glance at her shelf told me what I was in for: creams, toners, skincare products with ingredients like a financial report. I didn't bother sorting. It all went into a box labeled lab lotions and other nonsense with a fragile sticker for irony. Diego held up a jade roller like it was crime scene evidence. "What's this? A $50 placebo," I said. "She used it twice. Makes sense." The kitchen was absurd: avocado slicers, spiralizers, a matcha whisk set, all brand new with tags. Diego lifted an ice cream maker like it was a weapon. "This ever get used?" "Never," I said. "It was for her aesthetic baking phase. Lasted 3 days, ended in a lighting crisis." Her stuff filled half the truck: fast fashion, unused gadgets, pointless toiletries, and 40 decorative pillows that, she claimed, tied the room together. Spoiler, they didn't. The weirdest find was 3 identical phone chargers stashed in different rooms, like she was prepping for the apocalypse. I found electronics I didn't know existed: camera gear in the coat closet, another batch under the guest bed, like I was excavating proof of her digital addiction. Carlos the locksmith showed up around noon, calm as ever, no small talk. He swapped the front deadbolt, reinforced the back door, and reset the garage keypad code known only to me. "Clean break?" he asked. "Cleaner than her makeup brushes," I replied. By 2:30 p.m. the house was purged. Her stuff was packed, sealed, and loaded. All that remained were clean floors and absolute silence. Now for the fun part. Instead of dumping her things at her parents' or starting a fight, I played it cold. "Remember that downtown apartment she kept for work or yoga?" I'd had a spare key for 6 months, never told her. I drove the truck to the alley behind her place and opened it up. Still smelled like overpriced candles and essential oils. I took my time, arranging everything with precision. Clothes hung, shoes lined against the wall, laptop bag on the desk chair like a museum exhibit. The pillows were stacked in a perfect Instagram-ready triangle. In the center, I left a handwritten note: "Since you need space to think, here's all you want. The camping trip's yours, the house is mine. Lock the door." I left the keys in her crystal dish, drove home, kicked off my boots, cracked a sports drink, and put on the sports channel. It was a regular Monday, except this time I was the one coming out ahead. Laura got home around 6:30. I was on the recliner, eating leftover pulled pork off a paper plate, not a care in the world. I heard her car on the gravel, then her key in the lock. Click, nothing. Pause, then the garage door. Another try, another fail. 30 seconds of stunned silence. She was probably blinking like a raccoon in headlights. Then the storm hit. "Open the door right now. What the hell is this?" I didn't move, just kept watching sports highlights. My phone lit up on the armrest. First message: "This isn't funny, let me in." Second: "Are you insane?" Third: "You can't lock me out of my house." That one made me laugh. "Your house?" I thought. "Your name's not on the deed. You don't pay rent or utilities. You kept your apartment for independence. Congrats, you've got it." From 7 p.m. to 3 a.m., I was a one-man call center. 28 missed calls, 5 from unknown numbers, probably Natalia's phone. Some voicemails were Oscar-worthy. "You're having a mental breakdown. I'm worried for your safety. This is illegal. You'll go to jail." Spoiler, I didn't. "My dad's a lawyer. You're done. Her dad sells insurance at a mall. When I get in, you'll regret this." "Oh, honey, I regret nothing." At 10:54 p.m., Diego texted, "Bro, she's back on Instagram." "This is wild. Pour a drink." I checked, and there it was, another melodramatic story. "Some people lose their minds when you try to be independent. I'm scared. I'm in shock. Pray for me. I'm dealing with psychotic behavior." It had it all: blurry selfie, teary eyes, indie music, and a praying hands emoji. The comments were a circus. "Natalia, this is for the courts." "Stay safe, Queen Sophia. This is domestic abuse. I'd be terrified." Some Ramana: "Sounds unhinged. Get help. Call a hotline." A stranger tagged someone: "Is this the guy you warned me about?" The best part: most of these relationship experts were single, divorced, or dating guys who couldn't change a tire. Great counselors. I screenshotted it all, every post, comment, emoji, for when Laura got brave and tried to rewrite history. Call it paranoia, I call it evidence prep. Then I muted notifications, set my phone on the nightstand, and slept like a man who just shed a massive weight in one afternoon. No more staged avocado toast breakfasts. No more explaining I own a plumbing company, not just a wrench. Just silence, and that silence felt like freedom. Tuesday morning, my phone was a war zone. 43 missed calls, 62 unread texts. Laura had spent the night texting from her apartment, cycling through threats, emotional blackmail, and self-help quotes about healing from betrayal. But I wasn't done. For Laura, the wedding wasn't just an event. For her parents, it was a family statement. Her mom had dreamed of this since Laura had braces. They'd booked the venue 9 months out, picked centerpieces before the guest list, and hired a guy for drone footage. 150 guests, $25,000 paid, gold foil invitations. Her parents always treated me with respect. Her dad once told me privately, "I'm glad she found someone grounded." They deserved the truth before Laura spun a tale about escaping an abuser. At 10 a.m. sharp, I showed up at their house, dressed sharp, with a manila folder of printed screenshots, ready like I was going to court. They greeted me like everything was normal. "Good to see you. Laura's upstairs," her mom said. "Actually, I need to talk to you two first," I replied. We sat at their granite kitchen island, a plate of untouched muffins between us, the air thick as I laid out the evidence like a federal investigation. Screenshots, captions, comments, story archives, group posts, all timestamped. A meticulous record of her fake digital victimhood. As they read aloud, "Some men think they own women. He's isolating me. Pray for me. I'm unstable." Their faces cracked. Her mom's eyes welled up. Her dad just stared. Finally, he asked, "Is this real?" Her words, I said, "all public, nothing edited." "She didn't tell us any of this," her mom whispered. "She didn't have to. She told everyone but you." Then I heard quick footsteps down the stairs. Laura had been staying with them since I kicked her out, which made it even more ironic. She must have seen my truck from the window. She stormed in, eyes wild, voice shaking, not from sadness but from losing control. "Are you kidding me? You came to my house to lie about me," she screamed. Her dad didn't flinch, just held up a screenshot like evidence. "Laura, did you write this?" And that's when she unraveled. She rapid-fired defenses. I was controlling, toxic, manipulative, kicked her out for no reason. Her dad demanded straight answers. She had none. Every attempt to flip the script made her look worse. The hardest part was watching her mom hide her disappointment, that quiet heartbreak of a parent realizing their kid's not the victim but the problem. It ended with her dad standing up, leaving the room and returning with an envelope. "Wedding contracts," he said. "We're canceling it all. I'd rather lose money than dignity." I nodded, thanked them, and headed for the door. Laura followed me outside, unhinged, no audience to back her up. "You think you're so smart. You ruined the best thing you'll ever have. I was slumming it with you, and now you'll be alone forever with your pathetic plumbing business." I looked her in the eyes and laughed. "Laura, I own a house, run a business, have a wait list, and employ 4 people who rely on me. I'm not alone, I'm focused. You're 28, living in a studio full of camera gear, and you lost your meal ticket because you couldn't resist playing victim for clout. Good luck with your spiritual retreat." She stood there, breathing hard, blinking fast as mascara streaked her face. I got in my truck and left. 6 months later, she started texting again. Short messages at first. "Hey, can we talk? I miss you." Then long paragraphs, apologies, explanations, therapy talk. She claimed she was in treatment, recognizing her toxic patterns, realizing what she lost. She swore the camping trip was nothing. Esteban meant nothing. It was all a mistake. Apparently, Esteban ditched her right after that weekend. Shocker. Her friend group imploded too. Natalia fell out with someone over a sponsorship, and half the crew unfollowed each other. Her social media empire collapsed like a poorly pitched tent. A month ago, she pulled up to my house in her old car and sat there for 20 minutes. I watched from the window, no makeup, old sweatshirt, hair in a sad bun, a ghost of her online persona. She knocked. "Can we talk?" she said quietly. I stepped outside but didn't invite her in. What followed was a theatrical scene. Apologies, tears, promises to quit social media, ditch her friends, do couples therapy, anything. She swore I was the best man she'd ever met. I let her finish, let the silence settle, then said, "Laura, I appreciate the apology, but it wasn't a mistake. You showed who you are. When things got tough, you didn't talk to me. You lied about me to the world, tried to make me the villain to play victim. That's not a misunderstanding, that's your character." She sobbed, mascara running, shaking, begging. I stayed calm. "You need to leave and not come back." I went inside, locked the door, and watched from the window. She sat in her car for 10 more minutes, then left. That was 3 weeks ago. I haven't heard from her since. Diego was right from the start. She wanted a man to flaunt online. I wanted a woman to build a life with. My house is peaceful now. I heard Laura's back on dating apps, but she barely posts and her account's private. Natalia's off social media entirely. Life's funny that way. I'm seeing someone new, a baker who makes killer donuts, no drama, no followers. She's got a mortgage, a dog, and thinks this whole story is hilarious. We laugh about it over burgers in the backyard. Laura wanted a love story for the gram. I gave her a dose of reality Instagram will never show.